Today I've got the new CIVIVI Synergy 3, designed by Jim O'Young, with a 3D machined ergonomic handle and a trailing point blade. And as always, if you're interested in purchasing the Synergy, or maybe there's something else in your wish list, be sure to check out my buddies over at whitemountainKnives.com and use my promo code SHARPAF to get 10% off. There's 4 different versions of the CIVIVI Synergy. This version has the G10 and twill carbon fiber handle with a trailing point Damascus blade. There's also a Tanto blade shape with these same materials, and these two are selling for $131.75, so with my promo code about $118. Or there's 2 other versions with black G10 and either a trailing point or Tanto style stonewashed Nitro V blade. And these 2 are selling for $93.50 or about $84 with the discount code. The CIVIVI versions of the Synergy are supposed to be a more affordable version of the Wii Synergy that are closer to $300 with integral titanium handles. Let me know in the comments which version you guys like the best. So let's get into my likes and dislikes. So the first thing I thought when I saw this was, there's no way that flipper tab is going to be enough. It's like a small little nub. But the jimping on it is really grippy, and it rounds the corner a little bit too, so surprisingly, no issues at all with the flipper. It does its job better than some others that might protrude out twice as far, and it's nice having a more unobtrusive look that adds to the design rather than distracting from it. The next thing I noticed was this awesome Damascus. It has one of the better looking patterns I've seen. Granted, they're all going to look a little bit different, but any of the Synergies I've seen so far have these kind of star patterns and swirls, and it's got a nice darkened finish to it. I don't love it when Damascus looks all glossy, partly because it reflects too much in my camera, and partly I just don't like how it looks. Okay, the next thing is this blade. I don't always like the aesthetics of a trailing point, but this one matches the design flow of the knife well. But the main thing is just how thin and slicey it is. It has a great factory edge on it, and lots of belly to work with for skinning or filleting, and it's just super slicey. And lastly, the handle. This one is G10 and twill carbon fiber. You can kind of see they're in layers. It's not just like a carbon fiber overlay, they're mixed layers. And they're pretty thick, strong slabs that are very tough, but still lightweight. But the machining on the handle is what's amazing. It's very thorough, it's grippy, and it looks really cool, pretty rugged, but it's not too tough on your skin. And the ergos on this thing are incredible. It just melts right into my hand. Okay, so dislikes. Number 1, out of the box, everything felt a little stiff. The detent was maybe a little too strong, and the closing action was not very satisfying. Almost like the pivot was too tight. The amount of effort it took to close the blade, I think part of that has to do with the fact that this isn't a heavy blade to begin with. It's thin blade stock, and with this trailing point, there's not a lot of weight at the tip to help bring it down. And not every knife is gonna be drop shutty, and that's not a big deal. But I will say after cleaning and lubing and breaking it in a little bit, it's doing better. It's gone from mostly a manual close to a shake shut. And the access to the liner lock is okay, but the jimping on there is a little rough. Don't really like how it feels. Not a big deal during normal use, but if you're a fidgeter, you're probably gonna notice that. So let's dive into the full specs. It's a flipper running on caged bearings with great deployment. It's a liner lock, and the lockup is about 30 or 40%. No blade play whatsoever, and the centering was perfect. It has a 3¼ inch blade, or 8.2 centimeters, with a cutting edge closer to 3 inches. The handle is just under 4½ inches, or 11.3 centimeters, for an overall length of 7.67 inches or 19.5 centimeters. The blade thickness is 0.12 inches or 3 millimeters. And it weighs 3.2 ounces or 92 grams. The blade material is Damascus. It doesn't say which two steels were used, and I think they need to put that in the specs, not just Damascus. But normally, CIVIVI does a blend of, I think, 9CR and something else. But it does say a Rockwell hardness of 58 to 60, trailing point blade shape with a flat grind, and there's a little bit of a sharpening choil. The handle material is layered black G10 and twill carbon fiber with extensive milling. There's enough room for 4 fingers for me, and it's a very ergonomic handle that just fills your palm nicely. No jimping on the spine, but it's got a natural place for your thumb to rest. There's a G10 back spacer with a lanyard hole, and a deep carry CIVIVI pocket clip that is tip up right side only. And it's flush with the handle. Here's what it looks like in your pocket. And it was very sharp right out of the box. For disassembly, the pivot is T8 and the body screws are also T8, which is nice, and the pocket clip screws are T6. And the one on top is a little bit longer and doubles as a body screw. It looks like the bottom layer of the handle is the weaved carbon fiber, and that looks really cool. The top scale has a liner nested inside for the liner lock, and the bottom piece is just a plain slab of the G10 and carbon fiber with a little plate for the pivot and stop pin. And as CIVIVI often does, it's not a free spinning pivot, which is great. It has a notch in the pivot screw and a bump in the ring on the scale, so it falls into place when facing the right direction, and it keeps that side from spinning. Disassembly and reassembly is pretty easy, so this isn't a knife I'd be afraid to take apart, especially if you want to try and improve the stiffness. Overall, the CIVIVI Synergy is a pretty cool knife that would fit in very nicely in a knife display or in your pocket. From the pictures, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but seeing it in person, it's a mesmerizing design, and it feels great in hand. It's got a tough handle and a slicey blade with lots of belly, and if you've wanted a Synergy but haven't wanted to pay $300, this is a great way to go. I wouldn't say it's a budget-friendly version. $90 to $130 is on the higher end for CIVIVI, but with the amount of extra work that went into milling this handle, the carbon fiber and Damascus on this version, and just being a Jimmo Young Synergy, I think is why we end up at this price point. Let me know what you guys think about the CIVIVI Synergy 3 in the comments. Stay tuned for some size comparisons, and don't forget to like and subscribe. That's it for me, guys. Thanks for watching.